yourself. The fourth thing I have here is you don't own anybody. So the old friend group that I had from like since I've been growing up, to be kind, they're kind of not the type of people I want to surround myself with, but I attracted those types of people because I used to be a loser. But the problem with this friend group is like they smoked weed every day, they drank, they partied like almost every single day, and they also like didn't support me. Like they were happy if I was successful as long as I wasn't better than them. So I can say very objectively that these people were dragging me down, but I felt torn because I had known a lot of these people since elementary school, so it felt like I was losing a lot by cutting them off because we had been through so much together. And I'll explain what happened to lead me to actually cut them out in a second, but I was suffering from something called the sunken cost fallacy. You might have heard of this before. This is a concept that gets used a lot in finance. So like imagine you time travel back to 2012 and you're a day trader and you have like $200,000 on Blockbuster or something. And that's a dying company, but because you've already lost like $30,000 the past month, you're already kind of invested in a weird way. So you're hesitant to actually cut off because you have the weird thought in your mind like, oh, it could go back up. And I've already invested stuff into this. Instead of walking away with 170K, you just let it sit for another 2 years until Blockbuster goes bankrupt, and then you just lost all your money. And this concept applies to relationships too. And I'll give you an example from my life. So you can tell this is a real story because it makes me look like a dumb. So I probably logically understood that I should have left my friend group like a year before I actually did it, but because of that sunken cost fallacy, it took until literally I got into a fight at my friend's house, and that's what brought me to actually end up cutting them out. And this is like a story for a different day, but long story short, this guy at my friend's house, he was doing so much that I legally could have beat his ass. But I'm just not that type of person. So I left my friend's house, I drove home, and I come back into my bedroom, and I sat like literally right here in this chair. And that's when I realized, like, I'm a idiot. Like, the best version of myself would never surround himself with those types of people, even if he'd known them for his whole life. So despite me knowing them for like however many years, I pulled out my phone, like right here, and I started blocking every single person from that friend group one by one. I don't care if they know. I didn't tell them that I was blocking them. I just disappeared from their life. But after cutting them out, I've been making way more progress on my YouTube channel. I've been making new friends. Like the thing is, people think like if you cut out your friends, you're not going to make new friends. But it's like you have like slots or something. And if you just clear out the containers for like these bad friends, you're going to get new friends that are going to slot into these positions if you put yourself out there. So after cutting them out, I've been making new friends that are significantly better, like objectively. And these are the type of friends that they support me when I win, I support them when they win, and we also help each other get better. So that's like a definition for a good friendship if you didn't know that. So I'm going to suggest you do something very harsh, but this is what I needed to hear when I was in your shoes. What I'm about to suggest you do is going to make you uncomfortable. I'm letting you know right now. But sometimes you need to understand this. To get comfortable, you need to be okay with becoming uncomfortable. I'm saying that again. Sometimes to become comfortable, you need to go through discomfort. Like seriously, you need to understand that, because a lot of people, they get somewhat comfortable with where they're at. They get complacent, but they don't like where they're at. But it's just comfortable enough that they don't want to go through the discomfort of trying to go for something better. You know who the bad apples are. You know who the friends that are, you're seeing them and then the rest of the week you act differently. You know exactly what I'm talking about. They somehow taint the way that you act even when you're not around them. This is something that you will never hear any other YouTuber tell you, because I'm being 100% honest with you. This is what you need to do if you're trying to change your social circle so that you have like the best life that you actually want. Take your phone out. Block every single person that is negatively influencing your life. You don't own these friends. This is the point I'm trying to make. You don't own these people. You don't own their souls. These are the people, if you just leave their life, they're not going to disintegrate. You're going to be completely fine too. Block their phone number, block their social media, unadd them, just cease contact with them. It doesn't matter. You don't need to message them or justify why you're doing this, because if you're trying to be the best version of yourself, it's questionable why you would even think about having those people in your life. And I promise, this will be uncomfortable for a little bit. That's what you want. But if you go to the gym, if you go to places where you will meet people that can be a better social influence than the current friends that you have now, that's going to change your life. And you're going to realize, like, within a month or two, you're going to be like, why the f didn't I do this sooner? Like, you're going to feel like the same stupidity that I did when I finally ended up doing it. So the fifth piece of advice that you should hear is never punish failure. So this is how my belief towards failure almost, like, literally ruined my life. So I'll be honest, school was super easy for me up until, like, 10th grade. Like, I was that kid who I would show up to school, I would never study, I would do my homework in school, and I would still get, like, straight A's, basically. And that sounds like a good thing, but the side effect from that was, because I had the self-image of someone who had perfect grades no matter what, whenever I actually got into, like, 11th grade, 12th grade, and I got into these harder classes that, like, you needed to study for and you needed to actually work for, it was almost like my self-image, my identity could not accept that. It was so, like, it was literally, I did not believe that me getting a bad grade was my fault. That's how I saw it. And so whenever I failed something, if I got an answer wrong, I would come up with any, like, even if it's, like, completely delusional, I would come up with some crazy ass excuse to justify me getting